All right, diving right in today.
Let's do it.
We are tackling a topic that honestly touches every single one of us every day.
I think you're right.
And that is emotional intelligence.
The Q, right.
EQ, exactly.
Yeah.
And we have been going deep into the book Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry and Jean Greaves
Great book.
to try to bring you the absolute essence of what you need to know.
And for all of you out there listening and trying to get up to speed quickly on all these important topics,
Yeah,
this is like the shortcut, you know?
absolutely.
We're not just going to like rehash the book, okay?
Right.
We're going to get down to how you can actually use it, how understanding emotions,
Right.
both yours and other people's,
Mm-hmm.
can really be like a game changer
Yeah.
in your life,
Yeah.
professionally and personally.
Sure.
So we're going to distill this down
Yeah.
to like the most essential strategies you can use right away.
That's exactly it.
So,
We're not giving you a book report, we're giving you the how-to guide.
right, exactly.
So really, what we're aiming to do here is give you the essentials of EQ, why it's so important,
Yeah.
and then some practical starting points
That you can use.
to boosting your own EQ.
Yeah, think of this as your express route to being way more emotionally intelligent.
Okay, I love it.
Right.
So, with that said, what exactly is emotional intelligence, especially as it's defined in this book?
Okay, so EQ is at its very core
Yeah.
about your ability to, first of all, just recognize your emotions.
Right.
Like, can you pinpoint what you're feeling and why?
Yeah.
But it's not just about that introspection, okay?
Yeah.
It's also about managing those emotions
Okay.
effectively so that they don't sort of control you.
Got it.
And also, and this is crucial, it extends to other people.
Okay.
To being really sensitive and aware of their emotions
Okay.
and navigating those relationships, in a smart way.
So it's a two-way street.
Exactly. It's not just about you.
Yeah.
It's about the whole emotional world around you
Okay.
and how you interact with it. So,
I like that. So what's interesting here is that our IQ, our general intelligence, is thought to be pretty much stable,
right.
but EQ is different.
It is, yeah.
It's a skill set.
It's malleable,
It's malleable.
which is great news because
Yeah.
it means you can develop it.
Exactly.
You can improve it,
Yeah.
through awareness and effort and practice.
So you're not stuck with whatever you're born with.
Nope, absolutely not.
That's great.
That's the good news.
Yeah, that is good news.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned this framework of 4 core skills.
Yeah.
What are the fundamental things that we need to understand there?
So the book outlines 4 key areas.
Okay.
Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management.
Okay.
And you can kind of think of it as like they build on each other,
Okay.
right? Like mastering one kind of makes the next one easier,
Makes sense.
but they also kind of operate together.
Okay, so let's start then with that first one.
Okay.
Self-awareness.
Okay, so self-awareness.
What does that look like in real life?
Self-awareness is really the foundation of all of this.
Okay.
It's about truly understanding your emotions as they come up, right?
Yeah.
So this means being able to identify, okay, what am I feeling?
Right.
Am I annoyed? Am I frustrated? Am I anxious? Am I, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the second part of it is, okay, what are the triggers?
Right.
Like, is it a certain person or situation?
Yeah.
Or even, sometimes it's your own thoughts, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That trigger these emotions.
Can you give us an example of that? Like
Sure.
something that really kind of hits home.
Yeah, so let's say you're in a team meeting
Okay.
and a colleague like shoots down one of your ideas.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty common.
Gosh, it's all the time.
And you feel this like flash of irritation.
Sure.
Right. Now, someone who's really self-aware
Yeah.
wouldn't just like snap back defensively, right?
Right. Yeah.
They would take a second and be like, okay, what's this irritation about? Like, is it really about this person's comment?
Yeah.
Or am I, maybe feeling a bit insecure
Yeah.
about whether my contributions are valued?
Right.
And maybe that's coming from, something that happened in the past.
Okay.
So understanding that deeper reason behind it,
Right.
that's a big part of self-awareness.
It's kind of like peeling back the layers of that initial reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
And figuring out what's really going on.
Yeah.
So how can someone work on being more self-aware?
Well, a really simple and useful tool is keeping an emotion journal.
Okay.
So basically throughout the day, when you feel any strong emotion,
Okay.
you just make a quick note of it.
Okay.
Like what you felt and what triggered it.
Got it.
And this can help you see patterns, over time
Makes sense.
that you might not even be aware of.
Okay, so that's step 1.
Yeah.
What comes after you kind of understand your own emotions?
So the next step is self-management.
Okay.
And this is where you take that understanding and You use it to manage how you react.
Okay.
It's about choosing how you respond.
Right.
Instead of just letting your emotions run the show.
Yeah, because that can go south pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in relationships, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's about having the ability to hit that pause button on an impulse.
Yes.
And choose a better way to respond.
A more thoughtful response.
Yeah, can you give me an example of that?
Sure. Imagine you get some tough feedback on a project from your boss, and you put a lot of work into it.
Right.
You're going to feel something.
Yeah.
Maybe defensiveness, maybe anger, maybe disappointment.
Totally.
Right. Now, someone who's good at self-management,
Yeah.
they would recognize those feelings.
Okay.
But they wouldn't let those dictate their behavior.
Right.
They might, ask some clarifying questions.
Yeah.
Try to understand the feedback better.
Yeah.
Instead of just like arguing or shutting down.
Right. So that's a skill that I think a lot of us could use a little bit of help with.
Oh, yeah.
What are some ways that we can improve our self-management?
Well, one really powerful technique is that pause we talked about.
Okay.
When you feel that strong emotion coming up,
Yeah.
especially if it's a negative one,
Yeah.
just take a moment, take a breath, count to 5, whatever.
Yeah.
Just that little bit of space
Yeah.
can really help you process it and choose a better response.
Right. It's that moment where you stop and think before you speak.
Exactly.
Which we all know we should do, but it's so hard to do sometimes.
Right stuff. It's a practice.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've got understanding our emotions.
Right.
We've got managing our reactions.
Right.
What's that third skill that we need to be thinking about?
So the third one is social awareness.
Okay.
And this one's about tuning into other people's emotions.
Got it.
Right. So it's about being able to perceive and understand and even empathize with how they're feeling. So you're really paying attention to their cues, often subtle cues.
Okay, so what are some of those cues that we should be looking for?
Well, think about body language.
Okay.
Are they slouching? Are they avoiding eye contact?
Right.
And then there's their tone of voice.
Yeah.
Does it sound flat or strained or maybe overly enthusiastic?
Oh, okay.
Facial expressions, too, are super important.
Right.
So someone with good social awareness will pick up on all those nonverbal signals.
Okay.
And realize that there might be something going on.
Yeah.
Even if the person isn't saying it directly.
Right.
Like if they say, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But their body language is screaming otherwise.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, it's about reading between the lines, basically.
So how can we get better at picking up on those cues?
I would say the best way is to practice active listening.
Okay.
So when someone is talking, really give them your full attention.
Yeah.
Resist the urge to interrupt.
Right.
Or plan what you're going to say next,
Right.
Really focus on their words, but also on their nonverbals.
Yeah.
And when they're done, you can even acknowledge their feelings.
Okay.
Summarize what they said and reflect back the emotion you're seeing.
Right.
This makes them feel heard, but it also helps you understand where they're coming from.
It's about being present in that conversation.
Exactly.
And not just thinking about what you're going to say next.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to the fourth and final skill in the EQ framework.
Okay, so the last piece is relationship management.
Okay.
And this is where you bring it all together.
Got it.
You take your self-awareness, your self-management, your social awareness,
okay,
and you use it to navigate your interactions.
Right.
And build really strong relationships.
Okay, so can you give us a picture of what that looks like?
Sure. Let's say you're a leader and your team is going through a lot of changes.
Okay.
Maybe there's some uncertainty, people are feeling anxious.
Right.
A good leader with strong relationship management skills would be sensitive to that.
Okay.
They would communicate openly, acknowledge those feelings,
right,
and be supportive and reassuring,
right.
And they'd be good at handling conflicts constructively.
Yeah.
Inspire their team through empathy rather than just, barking orders.
Right. That's the difference between a good leader and a not so good leader.
Exactly.
So for the average person who's not leading a team, what are some things they can do to improve their relationship management?
Well, one really important thing is to express appreciation.
Okay.
Recognize people's efforts, celebrate their achievements, express gratitude.
Yeah.
Just those small things can make a big difference.
Right.
They make people feel valued, and strengthen the connection.
It's really about acknowledging that other person.
Absolutely.
And what they're bringing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this a lot. What's the takeaway for the listener?
Yeah. Why should they care?
Why should they care about all of this EQ stuff?
Well, for one, Research shows a strong link between EQ and better job performance.
Oh, okay.
And that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If you can stay calm under pressure, understand your team,
Right.
you're going to be more successful.
Yeah. It's not just about being a nice person.
No, it's about getting things done.
Yeah.
And also, it's not just about work.
Right.
EQ is crucial for personal relationships, too.
Okay.
Being able to understand your partner, your friends, your family, their emotions,
Right.
communicating in a way that they feel heard,
Right.
resolving conflict constructively, that's all EQ.
It's all connected.
Yeah. It really impacts every part of your life.
And ultimately, I imagine this leads to, greater happiness overall.
Absolutely. When you understand and manage your emotions better,
Yeah.
and you can connect with others on a deeper level,
Yeah.
you're going to be happier, you're going to be more fulfilled.
So as we kind of wrap this up,
Yeah.
what's the main thing you want the listener to walk away with?
I want them to think about those 4 skills.
Okay.
Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management.
Okay.
And think about, which ones are your strengths?
Right.
Which ones could you work on?
Yeah.
Where do you see room for growth?
Right.
Like maybe you get super stressed by deadlines.
Yeah.
It could mean you could focus on self-management.
Right.
Or maybe you have a hard time understanding other people's perspectives.
Yeah.
That might mean you need to focus on social awareness.
Yeah.
So yeah, just think about which one resonates with you the most right now.
Okay.
And remember, you can improve any of these with practice.
Yeah.
And those techniques we talked about.
Okay. So that was a really fascinating deep dive
Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
into the world of EQ and emotional intelligence 2.0.
Yeah, great book.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing how much these skills can impact our lives.
It really is. So, as we finish up here, any final thoughts for the listener?
Yeah, I want them to think about this.
Okay.
EQ is a skill, right?
Right.
You can develop it.
Yeah.
And it affects both your work life and your personal life.
Totally.
So what's one small step you can take today to work on one of these skills?
Yeah.
Maybe you could start that emotion journal we talked about.
Yeah.
Or just try that pause
Right.
next time you're in a tough conversation.
Okay.
So yeah, the journey to mastering your emotions is ongoing.
For sure.
But the book gives you some great tools to get started.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to wrap it up.
Sounds good.
So for all of you out there, keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
See you later.